Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
The Banga 2 subdivision, northwest region of Cameroon. Same time right here in Akwadola. Good evening, dear viewers of Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. First, our major stories. A notorious separatist leader, General Mitterrand, and one of his fighters, George, were killed in an explosion in Bamuka Dop subdivision, Gokitunja division, in the northwest region of Cameroon. The unfortunate incident allegedly occurred while they were trying to plant an explosive device in that neighborhood. And also we talk health, as a chronic kidney disease is indeed a significant global health issue affecting millions worldwide, including Cameroon. Patients suffering from kidney failure in Cameroon face numerous challenges, including limited access to healthcare services, high treatment costs, and shortage of specialized medical personnel. On the occasion of World Kidney Day, which is today, we'll reveal to you how these victims are currently struggling to survive on a daily basis. Those are top stories. Greater details will be yours in a jiffy. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. Heavy rains in Banga in the Mungo division has left one person dead and several homes damaged. Etienne, who is a resident, was swept away by heavy runoff while attempting to clear a clogged drainage. His death has prompted inhabitants of Quarter 9 to urgently request authorities to clear their drainages before the rainy season begins. We have greater details with Smart Chikan Gabriel.
The son of late Etienne cries out after discovering the lifeless body of his father in a drainage just in front of the house in Quarter 9, Banga Mungo division. Late Etienne is reported to have been out when the first rain started falling in Banga. When he was called, he told the children that he was coming back home. As rain started, powerful runoff began, carrying death along with it. I immediately asked the kids to close the door. Then I called my husband. He didn't pick up, but when the kids called him again, he answered saying he was on his way back home. When he finally arrived home, noticing that the drainage in front of his house was blocked by enormous dirt, late Etienne decided to make away with the dirt, which will later cost his life. I tried calling him again, then I noticed the phone was ringing in the drainage, while a rope was around it too. As we dragged the rope, we noticed that it was my husband and already dead. Inhabitants of Quarter 9 say if the drainage was bigger, the incident wouldn't have occurred, and they are begging for intervention. If the place was to be bigger than this sad incident wouldn't have occurred. We are begging on the council to please enlarge the drainage so that water can pass easily. For now, it is too small. Apart from the life that was lost in Quarter 9, in Quarter 1, many houses were left roofless as the strong breeze that accompanied the torrential rain made away with the zincs. It was the first ever rain that dropped down in Banga since the start of this year.
And we stay in the littoral region of Cameroon, but this time around in a locality known as Song Mahop. It is a locality in the Douala 3 subdivision where 3 alleged murderers have been arrested by elements of the littoral judicial police. The suspect, accused of having killed Stefan, who was accused by his own girlfriend of infidelity. We have greater details with Sedi Chakwitu.
3 alleged murderers, 2 women and a man aged between 28 and 43 years old, were arrested by elements of the Littoral Regional Judicial Police in Song Mahop a neighborhood in the Douala 3 subdivision.
On the morning of 24 February 2025, at around 4 p.m., following an altercation in the Somab neighborhood, one of the people called her friend, who fatally stabbed Mbanto Gistefan before fleeing.
The suspects who had run away from the scene were quickly caught due to a keen operation led by the police commissioner, Isonu Edu Hassan Gerald.
The subsequent investigation finally led to his arrest in the Boko neighborhood, where he was hiding, and to the recovery of the murder weapon. He and his accomplices will be brought before the public prosecutor. This is an opportunity for us to call on young people to show a great deal of restraint and avoid unnecessary brawls in which a life is quickly taken.
The suspects will be presented in front of an attorney general in the days ahead for more investigations.
Now we move to the conflict northwest region, where notorious separatist leader, popularly known as General Mitterrand, has been killed alongside one of his fighters known as George in an explosion where they were allegedly planting an explosive in Bamuka, Dop subdivision, the Gokitunja division of the northwest region. The information has been confirmed by the senior divisional officer for Gokitunja. Our chief correspondent, the northwest region, Bustela, tells us more.
The scene in Bamuka was one of shock and relief for local authorities and residents. According to officials, General Mitterrand and his associate George were attempting to set up an explosive device when it detonated unexpectedly, killing them instantly. Their shattered remains were later collected, with General Mitterrand's body displayed to the population as a warning.
The forces of law and order have brought the remains of one of our notorious Amazonian gangster who has been paid in his own coin. He has carried out a lot of havoc, a lot of atrocities here in Dop. He went down and was planting an explosive. Ironically, the explosive got bit him and his other friend.
Local authorities say they have repeatedly urged separatist fighters to surrender, emphasizing that reintegration programs are available for those who abandoned the armed struggle.
More than 100 times, calling him every week. Last week I talked with him last week from my office. Support.
Gokutunja division has been one of the hotspots of the Anglophone crisis, with frequent clashes between separatist fighters and government forces. Armed groups have been enforcing blockades and engaging in violent and deadly confrontations. Authorities have intensified their calls for fighters to surrender, but resistance remains. They are now urging the local population to collaborate with the authorities to ensure that they can carry out their activities without fear.
Northwest Chief Correspondent Bustela reporting there. Political leader Parfum Voum has been detained at the State Defense Secretariat in Yaoundé today. His summons is in connection to his declaration on TV that the Brigade Anti-Sadina Group is a blessing to Cameroon. Babla Jonathan, in his report, shed more light on the affair.
Parfum Voum referred to the Anti-Sadina Brigade, popularly known as Labas, as an opportunity for Cameroon. Asked to comment on the aggressive action of Labas targeting the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Parfum Voum did not condemn the group or its actions. He maintained these comments just hours before responding to the summons of the State Defense Secretariat. Questioned by journalists, Parfum Voum explained that Labas is not what Cameroonians are led to believe.
The bus is not what they want us to believe. First, it is legal in France. Second, it represents an opportunity for us because it highlights the excesses of our leaders. By symbolically attacking some of our symbols, it encourages everyone to become aware of the dysfunctions in the country's governance. The Bia bus has never killed anyone.
He went further to say,
I will run as a Republican. If I am convicted or imprisoned, I will accept responsibility. That is also sometimes the pride of a politician. we are called upon to go through these challenges. I saw people demonstrating against the beer bars, but when there is no water, they don't protest. No electricity, they don't protest. There are killings everywhere, massacres like the one in the far north where researchers were killed, or the one in Edea. Famine is rampant. Children can neither go to school nor see a future because the system is yoked. It is regrettable and reprehensible.
Parfum Vom is now being investigated by security services.
And we'll be elaborating more on this affair affecting Parfum Vom in the second part of this newscast. And now we talk health. Chronic kidney disease is a significant global health problem affecting millions worldwide, and Cameroon in particular. As Cameroon joins the world each year on March 13 to observe Kidney Day, nephrologists urge the population to visit hospitals early for screening. And on the occasion of this day, our reporter ASHU Julius was at the General Hospital of Douala to understand the causes and preventive measures of kidney disease. Her report.
Chronic kidney disease affects approximately 1 in 10 adults in the general population in Cameroon, with studies indicating the prevalence rate ranging from 3% to 14.1% in rural areas and 10% to 14.2% in urban areas. Renal failure impacts both children and adults.
According to studies, the prevalence of renal failure in Cameroon is between 10 to 15%. Here in the Douala General Hospital, we have barely or close to 300 patients.
Gombanjie, nurse manager of the hemodialysis unit at the General Hospital of Douala, states that hypertension and diabetes mellitus are the most common risk factors.
We have hypertension, we have diabetes, we have HIV, and then genetic pathologies that are the most leading causes of kidney failure.
Symptoms of the disease include nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, fatigue, and insomnia. However, the treatment of kidney disease can vary.
For a patient to begin dialysis, we begin dialysis with a vascular access, and that vascular access is being created by a vascular surgeon. If you suffer from acute kidney failure, it is reversible. Your kidney simply had an attack. But when they say chronic kidney failure, the cells of the kidneys are damaged, and so you have to do dialysis for the rest of your life.
The launch of the universal health coverage has provided a relief for many kidney failure patients, allowing them to access hemodialysis sessions at a reduced cost.
So paying 15,000 francs for the whole year instead of 5,000 francs per session.
As Cameroon observes World Kidney Day, medical professionals recommend regular screenings.
Early detection, can lead to prevention of the pathology, that's kidney failure. So what we would recommend for any individual to reduce salt intake, or as well recommend everybody to engage into sport activities.
The theme for World Kidney Day 2025 is "Are your kidneys okay? Detect early, protect kidney health."
And now, let's look at the challenges faced by a 21-year-old girl who is suffering from kidney failure, who has been living with the condition for over 13 years now. Morel's health condition hasn't diminished her dreams of becoming a medical doctor. Our reporter ASHU Julius was at her residence in Bona Musari Douala 5 subdivision and compiled the full report for the 6 p.m. primetime newscast.
J'ai fait 3 mois dans le coma.
21-year-old Tamba Morel has been suffering from chronic renal failure for the past 13 years. She explains that at the age of 12, she was diagnosed with this condition after manifesting symptoms such as yellowing eyes, swollen legs, fatigue, and nausea. The medical reports regarding her health condition took her family by surprise, as they believed it was a minor issue that could easily be treated. Morel, after being diagnosed of the pathology, she spent 3 months at the General Hospital of Douala undergoing hemodialysis sessions and intensive treatment. Her health situation set back her educational career for several years, but she did not allow her circumstances to diminish her dreams of becoming a medical doctor.
Interrompu, ça m'a donné des déformations au niveau des mains.
As a result of the severity of her disease, which she experienced at such a young age, her bones weakened, leading to deformities. While at home, before heading to school, Morel, who lives with her sister, assists with light chores such as washing dishes.
Je suis bien, je vais dire, sauf
Tamba Morel visits the General Hospital of Douala twice a week for dialysis treatment. According to her, these sessions have been life-saving.
J'aimerais être médecin pour mieux.
Despite suffering from chronic kidney disease, her dream is to become a medical professional so she can advocate for others suffering from this pathology.
Analyser quels sont les atouts, les abus de ma maladie.
Still in health, we'll look at another health concern which is known as glaucoma. This health condition is affecting over 6 to 7 million people worldwide, with children making up to 0.4%. Approximately 10% of those affected are said to be blind. To raise awareness and promote early detection, the ASHU Eye Hospital in Douala has launched a free screening campaign. Malaglory reports.
Prolonged screen time can aggravate eye strain, which may worsen symptoms for individuals' glaucoma, a disease that damages the optic nerve.
It causes irreversible blindness, and usually it's a silent disease.
While screen time isn't a direct cause of glaucoma, it's essential to be mindful of its effects.
You as a person may not tell if you have it if you have not had an eye exam, depending on the type of glaucoma. There are some that are rare that can present with pain. Others can come when the intraocular pressure is actually very high and it becomes painful, blurring of vision because there's a corneal edema.
Excessive screen time has been linked to an increased risk of developing myopia in children.
It's been reported that myopia, that is short-sightedness, is on the increase, and it's a major risk factor for glaucoma. So with the increase, with the rise in the number of children that are affected with myopia, that also increases the risk of glaucoma.
To mitigate these risks, taking regular breaks from screens and spending time outdoors in natural lights is recommended.
We are advising that children should also be exposed to ultraviolet lights. Advice is that everybody should have an eye exam at least once.
To commemorate the World Glaucoma Week from the 9th to the 15th of March 2024, ASHU Hospital in Douala organized a free screening event under the theme Uniting for a Glaucoma-Free World.
Malaglory ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is Barrister ASHU Julius. He is a lawyer and a CPDM militant. Good evening, Barrister. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight.
Good evening, madam. The pleasure is mine for you having me today.
Parfait is currently detained at the State Defense Secretariat. His summons comes after he described Brigade Anti-Sardina Group as a blessing to Cameroon. He later explained that the members of BAS are in the best place of exposing the challenges faced by Cameroonians on a daily basis while denouncing the setbacks of the government. What's your understanding of this incident?
First and foremost, once you make an apology to violence, it means you are condoning with that way of acting. Cameroon is a state of law and will respect the law. There's liberty of expression. We should understand that the extent of this liberty of expression has a limit. You can't come on air on national TV and you encourage persons who are being so violent in the expression of their own way of doing things. Violence begets violence. So at the end of the day, if such corrections are not done, if persons who make such declarations are not brought to book, it's going to continue and the violence might turn into something. So the government has an absolute obligation to kill the bird before it comes out, to make sure that this flower of violence which has been planted in society should stop.
Now, barrister, as a father, when a child gets angry and lifts a machete at him, you don't just focus on that action, but you should equally look at what must have pushed him to become that radical. Is the anger of actions, or is the anger and the actions of Cameroonians abroad or members of Labas justifiable according to you?
Yes, but you know, if you allow that child alone and to find out what must have happened, you must first of all wrench out that machete from his hand. Because the machete can commit a harm which becomes irreparable. The child can carry an act that might lead to consequences which cannot be controllable. So the first thing is wrench out the knife from the child's hand. And that is what the government is doing with this issue about the bus. They should make sure the bus stops that violence, or stop whoever is making an apology of violence in Cameroon. And you know, when once that machete is out of the hands of the bus, of the child, it will be easy now to have a discussion with that child to find out what is the problem. And that's what the government is doing as of date.
Some analysts are of the opinion that the members of this diaspora group are just expressing their opinion. Many of them say they are clamoring for a better Cameroon, that's for you and for I. If Cameroon is regarded as a democratic country, as most of these politicians say, don't you think this sermon is a crackdown on freedom of expression in this country?
Do you want to tell me that you take powder and throw at the minister? You violate the minister's rights as a human being. You violate his body. You hurt him. You slap him. You push him because you want to express your rights. Is that correct? I strongly believe that if these guys of the bars have something to say, the best they could do is, yes, express your mind, but don't touch an individual. Don't hurt another person. Don't be violent. Use the democratic means to express yourself. Being violent begets violence. Do you know what should have happened if the minister's delegation in Belgium recently decide to react in like manner? It is because the minister's delegation were made of people of a certain standards that we respect, and they decided not to react, knowing fully well that what those children or what those guys of the bars are doing is wrong, and you cannot correct a wrong by doing another wrong. That's why the guys of the minister's entourage kept their calm. But in any case, Cameroon, as I say, is a state of law. I will respect freedom of expression. But you should know that there's another thing, freedom called freedom after expression. Who controls that one? Nobody does that. So we have to be very careful. So as I say, don't mix up freedom of expression and freedom after expression. So someone like the guy who has a problem with the forces of law and order has overstepped that freedom of expression and is now existing in freedom after expression. That has different consequences. And let me not lie you, Cameroon government will not let this thing go by. As they've started violence, and we know that Belgium and France are countries that respect the rule of law, the hammer of the law will come on them pretty soon. It will not be long from today.
Can the throwing of powder on a minister be compared to the many years of sufferings faced by Cameroonians, bad roads, frequent power cuts, rising unemployment, insecurity, and many others?
Would that mean you should violate the physical body of an individual because of the problem of a country? I always challenge anybody that if you think you're a better place to solve the problems of this country, go political. Go for elections. win the elections, and show how good you are to run a country. I never capitalize on negativity. It's good to capitalize on positivity in the country, because whether you like it or not, you who is a leader, you can never satisfy all the people all the time, but you can satisfy a majority of the people some of the time. And that's what's happening in Cameroon. You talk about lack of education, you talk about lack of water, you talk about lack of light. Yes, it's happening. But don't forget that the population in Cameroon has grown in such a way that to catch up, to supply electricity, to supply water, to supply education for the same population that we had 40 years ago is not easy. But the government is doing its best. We are not in paradise place where things are perfect. There are imperfections. So those who capitalize imperfections and negativity should come and show us that they can change this imperfection and negativity into something better. You don't sit in Europe, you wait for people to come, you violate their person's their physical integrity, and you think that you're going to change anything. Do you think that what they're doing is going to change anything in Cameroon? I don't think so. They are making a mistake, because Cameroonians are peace-loving. Cameroonians, they are enjoying themselves. Cameroonians like the way the country is going, because no mincing words. The majority of people support the government as it is, because when we talk about democracy, we talk about elections. The majority of people have always voted this same government in place, and we think that till the day it changes, the government in place is the best. The government in place is the best.
After the summoning of Parfait Vom, some people think the government is biased. The argument is that someone openly insulted a nationalist, Ernest Owandi, yet he was never summoned, even by the National Communication Council. Now, someone for simply saying Bass is a blessing to Cameroon receives a summon and is kept behind bars. Should this not be considered as selective punishment?
I don't think we are comparing the same thing here. On the contrary, those who are using this comparison are the ones who are biased. Did Elimi Lobe violently violated the physical integrity of somebody? He just said something, expressed his expressions by saying certain things. Maybe I don't side with him, but he used his right of freedom of expression to express what he thinks. So those who think that Elimi Lobe is not right should show that he's wrong by expressing himself in similar matter. Not by trying to beat him up, not by trying to kill him, not by trying to violate his physical integrity. Because you see, when once we think that we are in a state of law, everybody's equal when it comes to freedom of expression. You can go to the negative side or to the positive side as you think best. But understand one thing. Elimi Lobe gave his opinion about a Mataya, because I still consider the guy a Mataya. But he said the guy is not one because of certain reasons that he knows best, and he said it. But we are talking about somebody who has a family. We are talking about somebody who has a following. Has any person in that family or the following engaged any case against Elimi Lobe to counteract what he's saying that it is wrong? Have they done it? So how can you say the state is biased? And between violent expression and audible expression from the mouth, which is the freedom, are we supposed to slap somebody when you don't share the same opinion with him? This same thing happened with Amazonia. Amazonia, they have an idea about an independent country. Instead of trying to put into place about the idea for people to buy, they went violent. Do you think the government will fold its hands and allow violence to reign in the country? Never. The government is not biased, but the government is doing what it's supposed to do to make sure that there's peace and harmony within its population, and law and order is respected.
ASHU Julius, CPDM militant and lawyer based right here in the city of Douala. Thank you so much for your time. That's what put an end to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs. Coming up next is the program Equinoxe Swap presented by Serge Alain Otto. From us to you over there, have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye for now.